Alright, today I'm going to talk about a novella that a lot of people are taking a dump on. It's called Gnome Cave, and it's by James Rolfe. Who's James Rolfe? He's the angry video game nerd. Now, I want to put this caveat out here for any YouTube reviewer that watches this. We would not be here today if it was not for James Rolfe. He completely revolutionized what a YouTube video is with his Angry Video Game Nerd series. Now, the other caveat. Back in 2012, on my old channel, I was very against his Indiegogo campaign for the Angry Video Game Nerd movie. Because at that time, that was not an acceptable thing to do, and it came off more as e-begging. As I got older and I went to film school, I understand how funding a movie goes and how budgets work, whereas I was an angry 17-year-old back then who was like, my favorite YouTuber is YouTube whoring. Oh no! Here's where my stance is with James Rolfe now. I appreciate him. I still watch his stuff from time to time. He's an older dude now, and I've grown up watching his stuff. I've been watching his stuff since at least '08. Maybe sooner. And I appreciate what he's done. That being said, James Rolfe, in his older years, has kind of become a quirky weirdo, and that's why the Cinemassacre Truth, among other things like the Screenwave people, exists. The Cinemassacre Truth is a whole can of worms that someday I will get some people together and we will do a series of podcast episodes diving into everything that involves James Rolfe and Cinemassacre. Because I have a lot to say about that and I've said a lot about it, from anywhere from the Indiegogo campaign to the Cheetahman 2 scandal. I've never shied away from being critical when there was a reason to be critical. So, General Watts and I were talking the other day, as we do. We talk all the time. And he's like, "Do you know James Rolfe wrote a novella?" I'm like, "No, I was aware of his autobiography that came out last year called A Movie Making Nerd, but I had heard some funny things about it, and I hadn't gotten around to reading it, because I don't read a lot of nonfiction." And he's like, "Oh no, there's another one. It's called Gnome Cave." And that name kind of rang a bell. And sure enough, he pitched his idea for Gnome Cave years ago in a weird video, and I barely remembered it. And so I'll explain what Gnome Cave is. Gnome Cave is about a group of friends, mainly this guy Dante, who, as a kid, they were on this ride called the Gnome Cave, but they aren't really gnomes, they're more like elves. I don't know. It was a fantasy ride at this rinky-dink amusement park that he and his pals went to when they were middle school age. They were coming of age, basically. That coming of age. If you know, you know. And they went on this ride, and you had a choice whether you were brave enough to face this mythical dragon. It was a big scary thing that was like a rite of passage or whatever, or you could hit the lever and go left and avoid the dragon, and the ride would end. He had the power to choose to face this dragon or run away from it. He chose to run away from it. His friends kind of made fun of him, but they just kidded him, you know? But he never lived that down, and has lived... Now in his 40s, he lives with his mother, and he's a trucker, and he's not happy with his life. His mother dies, until he calls up his old friends that he went on this ride with. They're all in various states of being miserable. The girl he had a crush on She's a convicted felon. The guy that they thought was the bravest one, he works a mediocre desk job where like no one gets his humor, and another one wishes he could be more of a nerd, but he doesn't have time. And so Dante manipulates them into breaking into this rundown amusement park and going into the Gnome Cave. And I'll get into a little bit of spoilers. Dante's crazy and kills them, but doesn't kill the girl, and they end up having a fight. And is there a dragon? Is there not a dragon? I won't say. Let's talk about Gnome Cave, though. Is it good? No. Is it awful? No. What it is baby's first horror novella. It really feels like a lot of, and this is not the first time I'll bring this up, it feels like things that were in Skeleton Crew and Night Shift, like the worst stories in those, especially Skeleton Crew, where there wasn't really an excuse, it was just King was on too many drugs. It feels like he read those, and then he also read You Like It Darker, the latest collection of short stories, which all pretty much have to do with COVID. James Rolfe has a bizarre obsession with COVID and getting old. And I get the latter, but the former is a little frustrating in 2025 that we're still dwelling on the pandemic. And Dante is kind of like at first a weird self-insert for James Rolfe. Because I could get into the whole psychology of James Rolfe. There's actually a good video of that, so I won't here. But he's a very strange guy who's obsessed with time, and I think it has to do with he reviews old games. He just lives in the past continuously. Not necessarily, I wouldn't say by choice. I mean, it might be now as a comfort thing, but I mean, that's what paid the bills. The AVGN movie was a failure. No one likes it. I don't even think he likes it. But he's never really recovered from that, and kind of checked out mentally with the angry video game nerd as a character. He was kind of done, but he has to do it. Unlike Doug Walker, who's contractually obligated to do it, James Rolfe could quit at this point. If he, I don't know his financial standings, but he's not necessarily contractually obligated to be the nerd anymore, but he is because it pays the bills. And I guarantee once his kids go to college, if YouTube still exists, there will be no more angry video game nerd. And I like when he branches out and does different things, especially these days. Although these days it's kind of been pathetic. I think Rex Viper is the biggest midlife crisis thing I've ever seen a YouTuber do that wasn't criminal. Or catastrophic to their brand. But this, it's so clearly a screenplay that he converted to a novella. And he needs an editor is the big thing. Specifically an editor that will tell him not to do things. Sorry, the cats are fighting. Anyway, he needs to have an editor that says no. That's the big problem that has been going on for a long time, especially during the Screenwave thing, is no one tells James Rolfe no or to change things. They all kind of, because a lot of them are fans of his, they don't feel comfortable. It's the George Lucas syndrome with the prequels. No one's here to tell him no. And this book, this novella, because it's not even 100 pages. In fact, it's too many pages for what it is. If this was part of a collection of multiple short stories he did, it would be more forgivable if those were at least better than this. It has fake out endings. Like, there's an entire chapter I would have, if I were the editor, I would have cut it. And I know I'm not an editor. Alright. I am a micro YouTube channel that reviews books and sometimes complains on my toilet about things. Like, I get it. Stay in your lane, but I'm not going to, because there needs to be objective criticism about this that isn't just shitting on James as a person, because that's the big thing I've seen in a lot of these reviews, especially on the Cinemassacre Truth, is that no one seems to... They just want to make fun of James. Because it's a funny thing to do, I guess. I don't know. I think I've been pretty over making fun of James for a while now, because there's not really much to make fun of him for. Sure, he had to be done at that certain time. That's a meme now. Sure, the jokes is in the like the Screenwave era of AVGN are subpar compared to the jokes he wrote when he did the scripts. Okay, let's move forward from here. What he needs someone that will read this and be like, okay, this and this are fine, but don't do this and this, because he's not a literary writer. He's a screenplay writer at best. So like, he will spell out the horror for you. It's really frustrating to read, because he'll get all descriptive about something and then say what the payoff's supposed to be. Like instead of letting you infer into it quite a bit. You know? It's something I was saying I alluded to in my Legion review at the beginning of the week. Like, that book really... It lets you think about things. This doesn't lead to thought other than... Oh my god, all the characters' first names go A, B, C, D. There's a character with an A name, a character with a B name, a character with a C name, of course Dante, D name. That's so goofy and weird. And I noticed that right away. Like, it's just kind of lazy naming, whatever. That would be forgivable if this was a better story. It's not. I don't even mind Dante going crazy and killing them. It felt very Bachman-esque, or something you would have seen in Skeleton Crew or Night Shift, those Stephen King collections. But it goes on after that, and the fact the woman, lives through it, and that there's, more stuff with the dragon, I think it just isn't written well. It's, nonsensical. And then he puts in, this epilogue thing that has 2 time skips in it, in a book, a novella that's 97 pages long. It's not even 100 pages. It is 97 pages. It felt like he had to get a certain page count out there. And the other people, there's a lot of criticism for the price of this book, because this book is, $12 for something that's not even 100 pages. But hey, it's free with Kindle Unlimited. Just get the 3-month trial for Kindle Unlimited, because it's not worth rereading this book. It's fine. I honestly, I'll tell you this. I think if he gets an editor, he could probably write some decent, suspense horror. He needs an editor, though. He needs an editor that will say no to things. Hell, hire me. I'm not even an editor, but I could probably edit some of this stuff. And he just needs he needs opinions that are just objective, that are there for, that aren't necessarily, his friends. That's what it feels like. It feels like if I handed this to, Matthew or Adam or Matt Wilkins, and said, edit this for me, and it's kind of hard, although I think Matthew would be hard on me. But, you can't just have friends read your book and say, that's editing. and then just like proofread for spelling errors. That is basic level editing, but an editor's going to tell you this works but this doesn't work, that sort of thing. And that's what this story overall, it just needs that. I think that he could, if he does that, he can improve upon things. This isn't the worst thing I'm reading this year, by the way. It's not. I have read so many worse things that came from big publishers. Like, everyone's shitting on this, but, like, hell, I'd take this over, like, half of the Titan Books' modern Alien output, or Del Rey's Star Wars output. This didn't hurt my brain that much. It just was kind of dumb and had issues. Or hell, tomorrow's book's like 10 times worse than this. Trust me on that. So, what would I give this? I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Like, I think there's potential with this. And, like, the ending that he gives this story would have... I would have saved for another story. It has a Twilight Zone end, and I know he's a fan of the Twilight Zone, and I like that ending, just not for this novella, if that makes sense. So, anyway, have a nice day.